Okay, next question.
Next question. I work in the medical field and I want to transition into cybersecurity.
Work in the medical field and want to transition into cybersecurity. All right, so I get this question a lot from different fields of people trying to get into cybersecurity. The first thing I want to do is set you up here. Here is why IT is superior to all of the healthcare industry, or most of it, I should say. Right now, I'm in beautiful Big Island, Hawaii, and I've been able to come here because I work remotely. For the last 4 years, I've been working remotely for my jobs doing IT. I can go wherever I want. It allows me to take my family with me to go and work from different places. Right now, I'm actually on vacation. That's another thing, is some companies that you work for with IT not only allow you to work remotely, but they also give you pretty good benefits as far as time off and things like that. And if I wanted to, I could literally work from here for a few more months if I wanted to. My wife works in the medical field and she really can't be gone too long. So one of the reasons why we're not gone as much as we could is because my wife is actually refuses to get out of the medical field. So that's where we're at. So I would highly recommend looking into IT if you are technical, especially if you're a technical person and you're fascinated by technology and things like that is what I mean. All right, so how would you transition from the medical field to IT? So first of all, you said cybersecurity. Let me just explain. Cybersecurity is a very big field, and it's a part of information technology, the IT field. Normally, to get into cybersecurity, you need a few years of IT experience because there's so many things that you need to know before you get into cybersecurity. It's kind of like nursing in that there's certain levels, and a doctor or a nurse, because there's so many things that you need to know before you even consider being a doctor. There's so many things you need to know, layers that you need to know. And that's the same thing with cybersecurity. You don't have to do school for 8 years and have a $400,000 in loan debt or anything like that. So, but there are things in this discipline that you need to know. Like, you need to know networking, you need to know programming, you need a little bit of programming, you need to know how to do troubleshooting, you need to know the industry. And to do that, first thing you need to do is get an entry-level position. Now, if you are actually working in this field as a CNA, a nurse, or whatever, medical bill or whatever, if I were you, here's what I would do. And this is what I tell most people coming from a field like that into this field is, if you have a job, talk to your local IT guy. Go to your local IT guy you see him, the guy's fixing the router when the router goes down. The lady who comes in and makes sure all the computers are fixed or the medical equipment is communicating throughout the hospital. Talk to that person. Take them aside and ask them questions that you are searching for on the internet. The reason why I say to ask those guys questions is because they're going to know, number one, how is IT in your field? How did they get in? And you might be surprised. Some of those people, some of them might have been in your field. They might have been medical billers. They might have been CNA. They might have been nurses. So you want to ask them. Ask them when they got in, how much experience they have, what they need to know, what things do they recommend that you start, what kind of learning do they recommend for you, what kind of colleges to go to, things like that. Ask them questions that you have. And here's a big one. If you have the flexibility to do this, I would highly recommend it. Ask if you can actually tag along. If you have the time, volunteer your time to tag along with them, and they'll teach you, and ask them to teach you if they can, right? If you have the flexibility, do this. Tag along with them and have them teach you, learn as much as you can, and you can put that hands-on experience, that on-the-job training, on your resume to start your actual path in IT. Now, this is if you want to do this. And another thing is, it's going to allow you to know if you want to do it or not. It might be something to where you're like, this really isn't for me. You know, a lot of people who ask me these questions, they see that, IT makes X amount of money, cybersecurity is so hot, wow, everybody's talking about it. But they don't realize like what level of knowledge it takes and what kind of things you have to deal with. And once you get a taste of that, you might be like, nah, you know, I'm good. I don't think this is for me. So that's what I would recommend. Just talk to your resident IT guy. Another thing you can do if you are currently working in this field is go talk to the IT department. If you're working in the medical field, go talk to the HR department and ask them, hey, I'm a CNA, I'm a medical biller, but I'm really wanting to work with you guys as companies still, but as an IT person, do you guys have any positions open? You'll be surprised. Sometimes they'll say, oh yeah, go to the career page, go there and sign up for it. Or yeah, we have this program that we're trying to get more IT people who are in the medical field to do this or that. They might have something opening for you to actually start to transition into that field. So those are two main things I do. Number one, talk to your resident IT guy. Number two, go talk to your HR department and see if there's any positions open. Now, if you don't have any of those resources, you're starting from scratch, you don't know what you want, another thing that I would consider if I were you is to look at your field. You might have some stuff that you can do in the medical field because you have been there so long. You know the jargon, you know the hospitals, you know this, you know things that I don't even know. You know, HIPAA compliance and things like that. Look into your field and see if there's other avenues that you can take that are not necessarily specifically IT, but they're maybe making sure that the medical equipment is HIPAA compliant. So HIPAA compliance is very important in the medical field, by the way. Very, very important. And it's a whole nother branch of the medical industry. And it's kind of in line with what I do, and they get paid pretty good. HIPAA compliance, look that up. Let me see, what else can you do? Oh, another thing to consider is if you kind of just trying to make the money, like if you're not really into the technical part of it, you're just trying to make that cash, consider doing what's called program management. If you don't know what program management is, Google it, look it up. Program management makes pretty good money. It makes upwards of 6 figures. It's in line with what we do in IT and the technical aspects of it. They normally work on very large projects such as giant DoD projects or giant NASA projects. And we need these people, IT people need these guys to kind of keep us on the right path. So they have to know our jargon. They have to have some general idea of what IT is all about and engineering is all about. But they don't have to be in the weeds. They don't have to actually fix the servers or the firewalls or anything like that. They have to know enough to keep us on track. So consider doing program management. Just look into it. And I'm thinking of anything else. How much HIPAA, I'm talking to my wife who's in the medical field. How much HIPAA training do you guys get?
Just basics.
Basics. But you know to like make sure that a person's privacy and HIPAA information is not exposed to the internet or to the world or whatever. Yeah, so the reason why I say that HIPAA compliance is very important is that in information technology, in cybersecurity in particular, protection of privacy, protection of healthcare information, protection of billing and financial information is super important and becoming more and more important. So if you know a lot of HIPAA, if you actually have done a lot of HIPAA training, if you're very familiar with the laws, you might really want to consider, the first thing you should do is go online and see if there's any HIPAA compliance avenues that you can go into, because being in the medical industry and having some of that HIPAA training is a huge advantage, even over somebody like myself who's been doing this for 20 years and doesn't know that much about HIPAA, because I just haven't done that much. I don't know the jargon. I don't know. My wife always will come up with some jargon like, what does that mean? You know, it's healthcare jargon that you guys have that most of us don't have. All right, so that's it. Hope that was helpful. See you guys on the next one.